Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello everyone, my name is Hana as a communication student of Universitas Muhammadiyah Yogyakarta. And in this opportunity, I will explain about understanding audit communication in the recent public relations. So, audit communication concept is communication audits were introduced by George Odiorn through his work and application of communication audit, which was published in the journal Personal Psychology. This term audit indicates that communication processes can be examined, evaluated, and measured as carefully and systematically as financial records. Communication activities, which are the implementation of communication system or special communication program, can be measured so that the quality and performance of workers such as officials, executive, and communication staff can be known and if necessary can be improved so as to increase effectiveness and efficiency communication. Communication audits are considered to be able to show a person's professionalization standards in the corporate and business world. These standards to professionalism could be realized with the birth of Communication Audit Committee formed by the International Communication Association or ICA. The ICA committee was able to build communication audit data bank for various organizations or companies with the aim of being references and comparison for the similar activities. And the second is about the importance of audit communication. Communication audits are important because they can help to improve the effectiveness of an organization or company. Communication audits can bring the organizational managerial benefits and make scientific contribution. The scientific contribution of the result of this communication audit is as formulated in the ICA communication audit. In addition, communication audits can function to accurately measure the flow of information, message content, and the attitudes and perception of those responsible for communication, provide accurate empirical data about attitudes, perceptions, and communication behaviors, and make long-term communication measurements. Meanwhile, the managerial function of communication audit is to compare the status of the communication system before and after measurement to find out the determined organizational structures as a tool for a successful organization and to develop new communication training programs to overcome problems found in the communication audit. So the next point is about measuring tools in the communication audits, and there are 5 points. First point is about survey and questionnaires, and the second one is in-depth interview, and then network analysis technique, and the fourth is communication experience, and the last is about communication notes. And then I will explain about the communication network analysis technique in audit communication. First is survey questionnaires. In this point, and not the length of the questionnaire required. If the questionnaire is too long and takes a long time to fill in, it will not be filled out carefully, and there may even be something missed or filled out haphazardly. But if the questionnaire is too short and doesn't contain complete information, it is useful. Therefore, we must be able to consider the range of organizational powers required, the amount of the time available, and special tips such as tips for reducing the font so that the questionnaire doesn't look bold. And the second one is about interviews. In interviews, question and answers are carried out face to face individually. These interviews aims to test, check, and complete incomplete data. These interviews aim to test, check, and complete incomplete data. There are two guidelines for face-to-face interviews, namely, first is exploratory interview guide. This is used to collect important information, problem recognition by using open questions. And the second is in-depth interview guide, often also called follow-up interview, which is are specifically conducted to help interpret the findings obtained. An interviewer should be someone who is used to interviewing people so that the interview can get the maximum result. Uh, a root in, a root interviewer should be able to use six types of questions to obtain the different data. First is a closed question. Use get a short answer. Yet First is open question, used to make respondents speak freely and openly in expressing something. And the second one is closed question, used to get a short answer, yes or not. And the second is specific question, used to dig up special information. And the fourth is about reflective question. This is used to encourage a respondent to comment more deeply. And the five is a leading question used to direct the respondent's answers, not unanswered answers. And the last one is a presupposition question used to make respondents think ahead or answer in the future. And the slide is explain about the communication network and analysis technique and audit communication. The third point is about network analysis technique. The aim is to map communications activities involving respondents in their organization or work units. Respondents were asked to explain the extent to which they were involved in communication with colleagues or the unit where they worked. According to the ICA, this really needs to be done. To carry out this analysis, a special person is needed to get more effective results. And then communication experience, known as the critical incident techniques, and which respondents are asked to describe communication events that are considered to be incidents of an event. The purpose of this communication event is or experience technique is to obtain a basic profile regarding communication success or failure in various works, units, or organizations. There is no one thing that needs to be considered in communication experience. Respondents usually tend to remember past incidents to failure communication compared to successful communication. Therefore, respondents need to be reminded that what needs to be described is limited to certain events such as speaking communication failures or speaking communication successful. And the last point is a communication diary. This method is only used for organizational with a complex and clear structures. This method can be used for workers who never use document in their work. Usually workers who can use this method are office employers and managerial personnel. In this method, respondents are asked to make notes in diary for a week about their communication activities. For the next explanation, this is about the data collection and analysis technique. An audit must emphasize several aspects such as the validity and reliability of an instrument, the suitable of the form to be measured, the sampling methods, the audit period, and the suitability of the location. To ensure a method must be adapted to the needs of organization's management or audit's objectives. So the first technique is about the observation. It is an activity that observes behaviors carried out by other people's one's own behavior. If you want to observe your own behavior, it is called a task study. But if you observe others people's behaviors, you are called a trained of study. It is a data collection technique that gives respondents and the opportunity to record their own communication behavior periodically and regularly. This technique can produce good data if the researcher carefully pays attention to the five common use observation, namely first is record related matters as completely as possible. The second is record as much as possible how and to what extent personal thoughts about the event. And the third is separate records or facts from records of personal thought about those facts. And the fourth is develop with as much detail and explanation as possible. And the last is check the notes again with 24 hours after completing the notes. And the second technique is about interview. So interviews basically include two different techniques, namely interview techniques with questionnaires and face-to-face interview techniques. These two techniques usually use to collect data about respondents' perceptions, attitude, and knowledge related to the informatic organization. And the question used in both techniques are prepared based on the same principle. The interview techniques with a questionnaire is a written data collect tools, various forms of questions combined and used in a questionnaire according to the type and the purpose of the audit. In an intern questionnaire in the interview, not as he as in face-to-face interview because he is bound to the four questions that must be read and filled in. This has consequence for the quality of the data that is obtained. So the third technique is about content analysis technique. Aims to make an analysis of the content of message in the document. This technique involves selecting written communications or documents to be studied, creating measurement categorized based on sampling, measuring the frequency of occurrence of categorized according to specific coding rules, carry out certain statistical tests on the data in the research, and drawing conclusions from the data. Content analysis techniques are used for various purposes, such as measuring the level of ESG understanding of company documents and analyzing terms in employee newsletters, analyzing works manuals and internal memos, which are the type most widely circulated in organizations. So there are the several advantages of content analysis technique, namely first, different from the other techniques mentioned previously. Analysis is a substantial research technique, so it doesn't affect the various of the data. Content analysis accepts the material as it is without first arranging it in a structure by the researchers. Content analysis techniques are very sensitive to the context of the data, thus being able to process remove forms. And the last is content analysis technique can handle very large amounts of data. Okay, maybe that's all the explanation from me. Thank you for your attention. We hope you enjoy the presentation. See you all at next presentation. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.